my watch party, what's going on with Gubner, Mike DesWine in Ohio? Because I would really like to know what's going on with Gubner, Mike DesWine in Ohio. But I am not exactly sure if Gubner, Mike DesWine knows what's going on with Gubner, Mike DesWine in Ohio. I think that he may be pretty confused by the messaging that his handlers, the people who control him, the deep state, if you will, entity that's behind Mike DesWine, and, well, what's making him take the actions that he's taking. Okay, so it looks like the lights are on, the camera is on, the feeds are all running, including you, those of you who are watching us on YouTube Live. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. And so therefore, we're ready to start the early edition of our podcast today. So here I have to hit this button and then that button. You are listening to The American Soundbite, a podcast that features common sense thoughts of an everyday American. This is the start of the most valuable 10 minutes of your entire day, so congratulations on joining us. I'm certainly glad that you're here for the conversation today. Hey, before we start, if you take just a second and think about the people you're going to come in contact with, their family members, your friends, coworkers, think of those who, well, may be a little less conversive than you, that may not be up to date on current events or just isn't that fun to talk to. Well, you can help them out by sharing the American Soundbite on social media, on Facebook, wherever it is that you guys tool around today. Let them know that you start your day by listening to the American Soundbite, and, well, they would be a better person if they did too. So those of you who live in Ohio are certainly aware, and I don't know, maybe people who live in other places around the country have been keeping abreast of what's going on in our fair state as well. But either way, it is rather interesting to follow the trends and try to understand exactly what's going on behind the scenes in Gubner Mike DesWine's office. The reason I bring this up, quite simply, within the last few days, the Gubner has decided that it's his duty. Yeah, he did say duty. It's his duty to protect all Ohioans from a bug. And since the number of cases has expanded, I think there were like 117 cases yesterday in Cuyahoga County, as an example. The number of cases continues to skyrocket. If you watch the mainstream media, they'll tell you it's skyrocketing. It's shocking. There's so many. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Even though the death rate hasn't kept pace with the number of cases, even though the death rate continues to decline as the number of new cases inclines, partially due to, well, totally due to who's catching the virus right now. But as our herd immunity continues to grow, the deaths continue to decline, and that requires our protector, Mike DesWine, to, well, protect us. And so he's mandated the addition of masks at all times when you're in public. I really don't care if you're for masks or against masks or whatever. It's irrelevant. The point is that the Gubner thinks that it's his sworn duty to protect us from a virus. that is a story. That is important. That is something that's worth discussing. Is it the governor's responsibility to protect us from germs? Because if it's his responsibility to protect us from COVID, is it his responsibility to protect us from cancer? Is it his responsibility to protect us from broken bones? Where would it end if the governor's responsibility, if the government in general's responsibility is to protect us from getting harmed? Where does that stop? But the interesting thing is, and this is where it becomes, well, unclear as to who's really making the decisions in the governor's office. Yesterday, after announcing that he was expanding the mandated mask-wearing red zones on his map, he literally was like bragging, "Hey, I've expanded. More counties are in the red now." And he was like, he literally was like exuberant about it when he was discussing it. But along almost immediately after, and I'm actually looking at my computer right here because I'm pulling up the specific tweet because the actual wording, I believe, would be interesting to, well, everybody. So along the lines of him announcing that he's expanded the number of counties that he has put under the red zone, because they have, extensive cases, like 37, I believe it was, in Summit County. So that's clearly an emergency. At the same time, I'm going to read you this tweet verbatim, so stick with me here. Gubner Mike DesWine, 17 hours ago. You can do the math. This is on Twitter, by the way. And this is a quote. I'm going to read exactly what he typed, or whoever handles his Twitter. I'm not sure he knows Twitter exists. As cases are increasing across the state, these are his words. As cases are increasing across the state, we received word today that someone on my staff has tested positive for #COVID-19. This individual has been working from home since the start of the pandemic. But we wish this person the best as they recover. That's the tweet. So this bug is dangerous. And if you don't wear a mask when you're outside, you're going to die. Well, except for most of you who are going to recover. Well, actually, most of you who aren't even going to know that you're sick. Some of you will actually get sick, but all of you or most of you will recover. And only a couple people are going to die. But it's deadly, and I've got to protect you because that's my job as your grandpa. I mean, your Gubner. And at the same time, he says a suspiciously unnamed member of my staff, quote unquote, my staff has tested positive for the Rona. So if this member of his staff has been working from home since the start of the pandemic, and this member of your staff, presumably Gubner, has been following all of your recommendations because this person is a member of your staff, and they still contracted COVID-19, Gubner, then what exactly are you doing to help us, the commoners, the lowly Ohioans that you rule over and protect? if you can't even protect a member of your own staff, who, by the way, has been working from home since the beginning of the pandemic, has been following every single one of your recommendations and regulations and orders and mandates and everything else, and they caught the Rona, then what exactly are you doing for Ohioans other than telling us that you think we're too goddamn stupid and ignorant to make decisions on what is best for our personal lives? You think that we're not qualified enough to use our personal liberties and our own brains to decide what level of risk we're willing to accept and how to protect ourselves and our families. You can't even protect your own staff. And yet you think that you can implement orders that are going to protect all of us. You know damn well that a percentage of people are going to follow your orders. You already have state sheriffs who have said, well, this isn't a law. It's not an enforceable order. I'm not going to enforce this, whatever it is, $30 fine if you don't wear a mask thing. But the simple point, quite simply, is the fact that you can't even protect the people you surround yourself with. The people that you know what protections that they've taken because they're all doing what you tell them. But you can't even know what people outside in the real world of the state, outside of your private enclave, are doing. And yet you continue to make these stupid orders. You continue to rule with an iron, well, it's probably a silk glove. And just make these orders proving that you consistently, over and over again, that you don't trust, that you don't like, that you don't believe in Ohioans, and Ohioans exercising, well, their own rights and making their own minds for what they need to do to protect themselves. Many of us here in Ohio have continued mostly to isolate amongst these openings that you have permitted in your, great excellencies, whatever. Many of us have continued to mostly isolate. Many of us still, keep quite a bit of distance and spend a lot less time out in public than we did before. And yet, it's not good enough for you. We've exercised our judgment that your openings might not be acceptable to our own personal level of risk. And yet, that's not good enough for you because you ultimately don't believe in Ohioans. You don't trust Ohioans. You don't like common people. You believe that you're smarter, that you're better. You believe that we need government to rule over us, and without government, that we can't survive. Well, Governor, you failed your own staff. People who have done everything you have told them still got the Rona. You can't take care of Ohioans. Your job is not to protect us from medical issues. Your job is to protect our freedom, to protect our civil liberties, to protect our rights to be free Ohioans all over this state. And you have failed at doing that. You have failed miserably at doing your number one job. All along, you have, destroyed the tax revenue of the state with your closures. You have, still overseen, 10,000 or roughly a whole bunch of people dying from a virus that's uncontrolled because it's a virus and the government can't control a virus. You have shut down schools. You have caused all kinds of confusion and consternation amongst families. And, you've increased the rate of of mental health exposure to all these people who have been isolated, who, well, shouldn't be isolated because they need to be in public just to maintain their mental well-being. But you're the man in charge, and whoever is handling you is making all the decisions, but you're the one standing up in front of television and telling everybody that, oh, I don't trust Ohioans, so I'm going to make some more rules. That's what I do because I'm Gubner DesWine. It's time for you to take your mask off, to admit what you really are. Admit that you really hate Ohioans, and that whoever it is that's behind the curtain that we're supposed to be ignoring, who are making all the calls and, well, you know, ruling you, and, well, end the scheme, because you're really starting to look, well, not really just starting, but you're coming off as an idiot. You're coming off as somebody who doesn't trust Ohioans. You're coming off as somebody who doesn't believe in the people who elected you to be our governor. I'm very sorry that I voted for you. It was, well, in hindsight, it was a huge mistake. I won't make that mistake again, I promise. It doesn't matter who runs against you. I will vote for them. I don't care what party, I don't care what their affiliation, I don't care what their policies are. They're going to be better than you. You have been failed in politics your entire career, and you continue to fail the Ohio people now that you're our governor. You obviously can't even run your staff because your job, as you stated in an earlier tweet, is to protect Ohioans from a bug. As if we're your grandchildren. But since you can't even protect your own staff from a bug, how in the world are you going to protect 11 million people spread all over the state, by the way, which you never even traverse because you're afraid of catching a bug? Pretty sad state, pretty sad governor. Hopefully the next one will be better than you. You have been listening to The American Soundbite, a podcast that features common sense thoughts of an everyday American. This has been the most valuable, holy cow, 16 minutes of your day, and I do appreciate you being here. Hey, before I let you go, if you liked the content of the program, if you liked, well, the format of the show, click that like button. It lets me know that, well, I should continue doing this. While you're at it, if you did like it, or you didn't like it, or you absolutely hated it, type some comments in that comment section. I do read each and every one, and they affect change in the show, believe it or not. While you're at it, right next to that like button right over here is the share button. Let your friends, your family members, your coworkers know that you start your day by listening to The American Soundbite, and that they should too. I guarantee it'll make life better for everybody. Thanks a lot for listening. I hope you have a great day, and God bless. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a wrap. Whether you're watching us on YouTube TV or on Periscope or even the Twitch, I really appreciate you being here. I believe that Ohioans, I believe that Americans, I believe that humans in general have the mental capacity to, well, evaluate situations and determine whether certain situations are worth accepting a level of risk or not. I believe that they're smart enough and that they're talented enough and that they have the ability to make those kind of decisions. I also don't believe that any bureaucrat anywhere in this world can make a decision that's in your best interest. You're the only one who can do that. Unfortunately, governments around the world, and even more unfortunately here in America, governments believe that they know better what should be done in your life than you could ever know or ever decide, and that they're going to make those decisions for you. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is not freedom. And I am 100% against the erosion of our freedoms, the erosion of our personal liberties here in America. And I will do, well, whatever I can from my soapbox, or also known as sofa, to highlight those instances, those situations, and to bring those to light so that, well, you know exactly what's going on. And, well, you can join the fight to protect our personal liberties and our freedom overall. Because after all, without freedom, what is America? I honestly don't know, and I don't want to find out. Thanks a lot for watching today. I hope you have a great day. I'm going to meet a friend for some coffee at a mask-wearing bagel shop here this morning. And then I'm going to have an awesome day, and I hope